This guy's been cooking. These guys have been on an absolute tear. DeFi Mullet is right where they need to be. Paul, what's going on, man?
Hey,
Great to meet you in person, man.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
I was expecting you to be wearing the DeFi, the full mullet.
I was actually supposed to go yesterday, but I was like so back to back. You know, we have a hairdresser up there.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And that's a pity. Like I was supposed to go. Like my team is like hardly blaming me for not going. Most of them went, and I did not. So I'm like,
All right, well, we got rapid fire. We got tons of topics. Let's start with the we don't want to bury the lead. You guys are absolutely cooking with Coinbase with their BTC backed loans powered by Morpho. Talk to us about this distribution strategy and what this really unlocks for Bitcoin users who want to get that liquidity without having to sell their Bitcoin, go through taxable events, these types of things.
Sure, of course. So, to your point, like the DeFi mullet, the whole idea is that you want DeFi to hide the wires, right? Like you want the experience that you would have on a normal consumer app, which is like seamless, zero latency, zero notion of a wallet, self-custody, nothing of that. But you want the superpowers of Web3, right? You want the deep liquidity to use your Bitcoin as collateral to borrow, right? And so what Coinbase achieved for the very first time in our industry is the ability to provide those Web3 superpowers to an audience that does not even know Web3 exists, right? And when I was like pitching Coinbase on like the Bitcoin back loan idea back then, Coinbase, was also already having like a centralized lending product, right? So it was already possible to get a loan on your Bitcoin. But the problem is that when you're not plugged into Web3 system, you don't have open rails, open liquidity, where effectively on the other side of the trade, you have Ledger, you have Bitpanda, you have 20 different curators that are bidding to give the best possible rates to the Coinbase users. And so now, if you have some Bitcoin and you're in the Coinbase app, not only you can like seamlessly use them to borrow on Morpho, but most importantly, the entire world on the other side of the trade is bidding to give you the best possible rate in a competitive way, right? And that's the key difference of the DeFi mullet compared to like traditional financial services, is that the thing is open, so it provides much deeper liquidity, much better pricing.
Yeah. And I'm not going to drop the alpha here, but I have heard that there are some Bitcoiners who want native Bitcoin on Bitcoin oriented chains. I know that we have some work to do there. I'm not sure all the Bitcoiners like Coinbase or Base that much, but we're going to figure that one out.
Of course, Morpho is deployed on 40 different chains. Anyone that's EVM, we're working very actively on the Bitcoin, EVM ecosystem, where Morpho will be deployed. And nothing I can share right now, but I think Bitcoiners will be very happy with Morpho in the next few weeks.
Next few weeks.
Man, so we just had Cami from the Define on, and we were talking about this vibe shift within the EF, right? And how, just in the last year, the EF has now taken its treasury and started to actually use that in DeFi, whereas 2-3 years ago, Vitalik and Kane were going head to head on Twitter about why, why are they not supporting DeFi? Why are they viewing DeFi in this way? How have you shaped Morpho into a product that institutional treasuries are now treating Morpho as a standard yield infrastructure, starting with the EF and more?
Sure. So I think, the most important thing for those large institutions, which I think DeFi has been missing for quite some time, is control, right? You want to be able to deposit your money in a protocol where you don't have to be friend with me to make sure your money is safe, right? That's the most important thing for them. What does that mean in practice? Well, Morpho is completely immutable, right? There's no backdoor in it. Like you can't change the code, you can modify it, right? Morpho also, you can select precisely your risk profile. You want something that's exposed to only Bitcoin back loans, strictly one collateral, only 600 lines of code, you can do that. You want something ultra risky, you can also do this on Morpho. Right. And so having this granularity and the ability to set exactly the risk profile that you want, also the compliance profile that you want for some of them, right? In a way that you entirely own the financial stack without relying on anyone. That's a very, very compelling for institutions. And obviously, the EF deposited into Morpho, but I'm more thinking like truly large scale institutions that are thinking about leveraging open rails to provide yield to their users.
And that's one side of the marketplace, is depositing into these solutions and these vaults. But the other side of the marketplace is more and more institutions curating risk vaults and providing them in the Morpho system. What have you done to vet the curators up to this point? How are you choosing risk curators? And for anyone who's listening, we've had head of innovation at Janus Henderson, we've had Wisdom Tree, we've had we've had all these institutions on the show. If they're listening, how do they become a risk curator on Morpho?
Sure. So a few things. The first thing is Morpho is a permissionless platform. So we don't vet, we don't choose a specific curator, right? Anyone can come in and curate, whether you are BlackRock or like a student in here in Argentina that wants to deploy a vault, you can do it, right? On Morpho, we have more than 500 vaults now. Some of them are the safest yield product you can find in DeFi, period, right? There's no safer than this, right? Some of them are the riskiest product you can find in DeFi, period, right? That's the part of it. It's like we're building a fully permissionless, fully decentralized system where anyone can compete and build their own thing, innovate their own thing, right? And if you are a crypto native vault curator right now, it's the Stakehouse, the Gauntlet, Spark of the world, they run those DeFi strategies for pretty large, like fintech partners, wallets, etc.
We had Monet of Spark, $10 billion in TVL. He was on he was in here an hour ago.
I think he's managing like $1 billion on Morpho. So those guys are incredible. What we're looking now is that when you're a large fintech, right, you don't really trust that much DeFi, so you want much more institutional risk curators. Nothing I can talk right now on the podcast, but you can expect the curator game to 10x in the next few months.
Wow.
So only one of the over 500 vaults was affected by this XUSD DPEG. You guys have created a system that has allowed you guys to basically be removed from this massive liquidation event. Not to harp too much on that, but what are some of the lessons that you learned and that broader DeFi ecosystem has learned from that 1010 event, and how will you build a further more resilient system in the future? Obviously you guys did a great job. How do you guys do even better in the future?
Sure. So few things. So first, we have, to your point, like hundreds and hundreds of vaults. There was like the stream like events, and there will be more in the future, right? And we have some vaults, for example, that expose like users to like some meme coin leverage like thing that are fairly highly risky, right? Like but obviously the system is fully isolated. Like, vaults are similar to funds in TradFi, right? And some funds in TradFi like lose money every day. So it's like similar to here, right? I guess the general realization that we have is that there is a very important need for visibility, right? You're a large scale distributor. You want to be able to have all the data you need in order to make your choice of like which curator are you going to work with. Are you going to work with like a crypto degen curator? Are you going to work with like an institutional asset manager that has a regulated investment arm, right? And so we think of our role as providing more and more visibility for users in order to make those informed choices. And we partnered last week with Credora to provide those risk ratings where when you come to the Morpho ecosystem, you're able to effectively see, oh, this vault is scored B+, and that compares to this other protocol that is scored B. So that's like,
and it's like a third party,
exactly,
not like because back in the day in 2008 in the housing crisis, the parties which were allocating the ratings were also the ones who were doing the deals, and then there was
no, that's absolutely third party. We are not involved in this, but it's very important that the infrastructure does not take a stance on how risk should be done.
Correct.
And we have multiple parties. Like obviously Credora is the one that's live now. We're working with 3 different rating agencies that are going to provide independent risk ratings. And
so I'm curious about the activity with regards to like where the most activity comes from for Morpho. Is it people that are using the app directly on chain, or is it a lot from the kind of DeFi mullet structure that you built on Coinbase? And then generally, like with that in mind, 2026, 2027, where do you see those kind of growing and bifurcating in terms of onboarding users to Morpho?
Sure. A year ago, 100% was DeFi capital, like DeFi native.
So like going to the app, using the app,
or other apps like the DeFi Savers, Instant app of the world, etc. And that was the case for every single DeFi primitive, right? Like it was, to be honest, like it was mostly crypto native users by far. And then what happened is that we landed that Coinbase integration that today has $2 billion on Morpho. To be clear, that's like pretty insane, like, and had like hundreds of thousands of users. The thing though is that Coinbase is the first to do that. They inspired everybody, right? And so we've shifted from 100% of our focus to DeFi native to 5% of our focus.
Wow.
Right? Like that's the amount of resource we put into DeFi native capital right now. Is less than 5% of our resource. 95% of our resources is enterprise adoption.
Yeah.
How do we get large-scale distributors to effectively enshrine Web3 into their stack and making it seamless for the user? And, maybe that's not the thing that pumps the numbers the most, right, compared to some, crypto DeFi native trades.
Yeah.
However, long-term, I'm pretty damn sure this is going to be the thing that, makes DeFi win eventually. So that's why I channel all my energy into this.
So you're trying to grow that bucket next year and the following year.
Yeah,
as much
exactly.
As possible. That's
so
like the
after
10X for you
Coinbase, we
guys.
announced Gemini, we announced Crypto.com, we announced
Today,
Panda.
Crypto.com today, right?
Yeah, so today we announced it's live in the US. It has been live for a few weeks now.
But if it's not live in the US, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What are we doing here, buddy?
We've been live in a bunch of fintechs here in Argentina. We're live in Lemon. We're live in a bunch of places. But that's only the scratching the surface of like the efforts we've been doing over the last year.
Yeah, DeFi will win. The value accrual pipeline is something I'm very curious about. Arthur Hayes has come on the podcast, basically used this math, this moon math to say like, okay, we know that stable coins are going to increase to trillions in supply. The natural progression is that stable coins, they go into perp dexes, they go into tokens, they go into lending markets, they go into DeFi, all of these things. So, could you trace through like, the Morpho token on one side and the US government on the other side? These guys are saying trillions of stable coins. We know that there's going to be trillions. This is going to end up in DeFi. It's going to end up in lending markets. Trace through the value accrual mechanism for Morpho, the Morpho token, and generally this path.
Sure. Stablecoins are becoming the checking account.
Yeah.
Right. Morpho is the savings account. Right. And it's a highly tailored saving account for whoever you're, saving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have a vault almost for every individual that need a specific risk profile, a specific compliance profile, wherever they are, right? I don't think stablecoins alone, not generating any yield long-term, is sustainable. Everybody will become. So whatever is the TAM for stablecoin is the TAM for lending. That's really something that I truly believe is that, and in that perspective, every single $1 trillion that is coming into the chain will happen to be productive on Morpho, in my opinion, right? And I really think of Morpho as the internet protocol for financing, right? Every single dollar in the world that is in excess of capital that's idle should be made productive on Morpho and be matched in the most efficient way possible with someone on the other end looking for financing, right? And we will be the protocol that's mapping the two in the most efficient way possible. Now, what does that mean for Morpho, right? And value creation in general? This is a networks business, right? What does that mean? It means that we create value by connecting people, the lenders on one end and the borrowers on the other end that did not know each other, right? And because Morpho exists, they're going to be able to have access to a much wider opportunity, much deeper opportunity. The same way Coinbase prefers being on chain than with their centralized books is because now they can meet with Binance Wallet users that integrate Morpho and deposit on the other side, right? The more the network grows, the more the value that Morpho create grows super linearly, right? So if the network grows linearly, the value created by Morpho grows super linearly. So this is a long-term game, right? What I mean by this is that we are looking to scale this to the multiple tens of trillions of dollars, right? In terms of size of volume of active loans, right? Once this is in place, right, there is obviously massive value accrual that can happen in the network in order to that can basically like capture value to reinvest in further growth in the network, et cetera, et cetera.
Paul, we're running on time here. We have a couple things for you. First, we've got a gift for you. It is our brand ethos, our brand core message right now. It is return to fundamentals. We are really pioneering and pushing this idea of building real technology and returning to the fundamentals of the space. If you would just kind of tell us what that means to you, why the fundamentals of this space matter.
Yeah, I think, like one of Morpho's values internally is to think from first principles on pretty much everything, right? So we're very, very attached to this idea of not doing crazy things that we don't truly believe it will be useful for the long term of the company. And that is true for every single aspect of Morpho, most importantly, protocol design. And the way, for example, we don't focus too much on the too speculative aspect of lending, but most of our time is on the DeFi model type of thing, because we believe this is the fundamental value that DeFi and crypto will create, is bringing this Web3 superpowers, better pricing, better liquidity worldwide to 7 billion people.
And I think Rob's got some wine for you here.
Our friends at Lambda Class, who they grow these grapes. Malbec is the choice wine of Argentina. And so because we're in Argentina for Devconnect, our friends are
Thank
gifting
you.
you this bottle of wine.
Thank you. So I don't drink personally, but I'm French, and our offices are in France and Paris, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it.
I'm sure that they would love that.
Take a second bottle for the rest of the team.
We've got another bottle of Laderas de los Andes Malbec. This is some of the best stuff in the entire country.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Last
for
thing
having
for
me.
you is we're creating a Spotify playlist,
Sure.
and we need one song from you. What are you vibing with lately? What is your choice of tunes? Give us some French stuff or something. Come on.
One of my most favorite like crypto music is do you know Edcon 2019 where Vitalik was rapping?
Okay.
Like, the EF thing? Bro, that thing is insane.
Okay.
So the EF rap.
EF rap?
That thing with Carl like rapping.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know if you know.
I don't know if that's on Spotify. Is there a song? Do you know what the name of it is?
I'm not sure.
All right, give us a plan
Look up
B here.
Vitalik.
Give us a plan B here.
Plan B.
What kind of music do you like? Rap, rock, classical? Is there an artist that you like?
I've been listening a lot to Fred again.
Okay.
Recently.
I like that. I like that.
So yeah, maybe one of those.
Do you Places to Be? Do you know that song?
Yeah.
That one's a banger, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that one's a good one. We'll do that one. Paul Frambot, CEO of Morpho. Thank you for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Paul,
I
cheers,
know
buddy.
you're busy.
See you
Thanks
next
for coming
time.
on.
Thanks.